Hey guys, 0101 here with another little video for you. In today's video, we are going to go over some custom crafting. Alright, so this is my realm, on it with my friend, Mr. Beer's Good. That would be Beer's Good, that guy. Alright, so this is what we got. So I have made it that way if we were to take 64 of this cobblestone here, put it anywhere in there. Now this is a dropper, obviously. So, and then you hit this button here, and then, oh, guess what? I'm not level 5. So, now, let's see, XP, 5 levels, 0, 1 of 1. Alright, so I'm now level 5. Let's try it again. So we still have R64 in there. Get all this stuff, and guess what? Congratulations on your bottles of enchanting. It didn't cost me anything. So here is our 3 bottles of enchanting. We got that from 64 little blocks of cobblestone. Yeah, so this button will make it work, this button will make it work. I've got a bunch of other different things in there that will work right now. Like, for example, if I was to take a lily pad, let's get ourselves a little lily pad real quick. Take a lily pad, put it in there, anywhere, go over here, guess what? We get a slime ball. But it cost me 3 levels. So if you remember before, I gave myself 5 levels, right? Let's check this real quick. Okay, so now I'm level 2. So just so you can see it work, oh wait, hold on. I have to give myself something real quick. Alright, game mode 1. Alright, so I am back in creative. I'm going to give myself some more lily pads. Alright, sorry. I'm going to put myself back up at 5. Oh, that'd be another 3 levels. Okay, so now if we go back to game mode 0, which is survival, we are now at level 5. So, we want to make another slime ball, right? So we go over here, we put our lily pad in there, hit the little start button, and guess what? We're now down to level 2, as you can see down at the bottom there, and we get another slime ball. So we have a custom crafting solution that can do multiple recipes, and it will take away levels based on what you create. So if you think this is a really cool idea, then keep on watching, because I'm going to show you how I did it. Alright, so we're going to go over here, and then in this room right here, we've got our command block room. Alright, so the way this works is that each of those buttons that are up there, like let's say there's a block on top of this guy, there's a crafting box, and then there's a button on there, so you hit the button up there, it turns on this crafting block, and then this crafting block will set the block at this location to a redstone block. Now that block happens to be this one right here, so it'll change it to a redstone block, which will then send a signal through here. Now this right here immediately changes it back to obsidian, so that way you only get a pulse going through. So if you want to watch it real quick, obsidian there, redstone. It goes right back to obsidian. Alright, now we have made it so that way you need to be at least level 5 to use it. So how did I get that to work? If you were watching some of my previous videos, you saw that I figured out how to do an if statement using all this stuff. So I did the same thing. So what it's doing is it's testing for the nearest person to the custom crafting box, which is that right there, it's that dropper that's up there, with a minimum level of 5. So what's going to happen is if it finds someone like that, like if your level is above 5 and you're the closest one to that block, it'll send something through here, which will then go through these 2 repeaters here, which then goes onto this one, which locks out this one, which prevents it from sending this right here, which says, hey, you need to be at least level 5. Now if you are not level 5, this doesn't go through, it doesn't cut this thing off, and so you immediately go straight over here and it tells you, hey, you need to be level 5. Okay. So if you are level 5, and I think that'll be the last time that I say this, it'll send a signal through here. Now what this does is this is what resets these command blocks. A lot of the times what will happen is if you run a test for thing, whatever, and it actually finds it, it'll stay on. and it'll stay on until it tests for a negative, right? Until it like turns off. But let's say that you want to run it and you test it and you figure out if something meets the condition, and then you want it to reset, right? Because the next time you want to test it, you want to have it click again, right? So the way you do that is just replacing the entire command block. So it's pretty simple. You do the set block command with the location of the command block you want to reset. Make sure that you are setting it with a command block. This is the relative position of it. For this, it's at 0. And then you want to hit the replace command, and then you actually want to replace or type in the command that's already in the box, which is that right there. And then you want to make sure you get all these brackets right. So after replace, you want to do these little curly bracket things, then command, colon, quotations, then the command, end quotations, and then end curly bracket. And then that will replace this block, which will then turn it off. So if this tests positive, this goes on, stays on, goes over here, resets the block. This then puts out nothing, and this turns off, so it effectively resets it. Okay, so then that signal goes over to here, and it goes into each one of these things here. Now, what do these do? Alright, so this first one here, this is when you're taking 9 string and making it into wool. It's going to test for 3x3x1, so that's 1 string in every slot of the 9 slots. So this is kind of a ridiculously long command. So it's going to be testing for a block. Now this is the location of that dropper, and make sure that it is a dropper. This is the relative position, and then this is where it gets kind of interesting. So this kind of is the start of it. So you do a curly bracket with items, colon, and a square bracket, and then this one right here is actually to test the first slot. So then you're going to check for an ID Minecraft string. It's in the first slot, so that's 0B. B is just tells you what kind of number it is, so this is 0 by, or I don't know. It refers to this type of number. It just needs to be in there. So it checks the first slot, and to make sure that there is one item in there. Now that one item is a string. So then if it checks the hopper and there is a string in that one, then as of right now, this will put out a positive on the command block saying, hey, we found something. But it also continues onto the other slots too. So this will go through every single one of the slots, testing for the same thing. So it'll be 0B through 8B, all the slots, that's what that is. Items are going to be string for each one. Count is going to be 1 for each one as well. And then when that's all done, so this is the end curly bracket for this 8B slot, right? And then you need the square bracket and then the curly bracket, and that finishes off that whole thing. Alright, so that just checks to see if that's what you got in there. If that is what you got in there, this will send this signal out, which will then go through the repeater, making it longer, and it'll go through each of these 4 command blocks. So this first one is going to put 1 wool inside that dropper. So this is the way that I'm doing it here. You set the block to a dropper, make sure the position is at 0, and then you want to replace the item. Now this is kind of the same thing as before. So items, colon, square bracket, curly bracket, ID, slot, count. So we're going to put 1 wool in slot 4B. Pretty simple. Alright, next we want to take 1 level away from the player because that is the cost. So now this will do the XP command. It will take away 1 level. That's what the L stands for, is level. To the nearest person to that crafting dropper thing over there. So that's how that's done. So that's add P, square bracket, X, Y, Z. There you go. You don't want an E there. Alright, and then you want to send a message saying, hey, congratulations on your wool, this has cost you 1 level. Once again, add P, nearest person to the custom crafting dropper. Alright, and then you want to reset this command block over here, which we've already gone over there. Okay, so now each of these things will do different things. So this first one here will check for string, it will convert it to wool, and it will cost 1 level to do so. This one right here will take 1 wool and then convert it into the 9 strings. So this goes one way, this brings it back the other way. This will take a lily pad and make it into a slime ball. It will cost 3 levels. This one will do the cobblestone and change it to bottles of enchanting. This doesn't cost anything because, I mean, bottles of enchanting are basically experience bottles, right? So why would you give someone experience while taking away levels? I don't know. It didn't make much sense to me, so that's why I made it free. But you still have to be at least level 5 to do or to use that thing. Alright, now this one right here will take 64 dirt and 1 water bucket, and it will change it into 64 clay and 1 empty bucket. And then because this is kind of a big thing, it's going to cost you all 5 of the levels that it took to get you in there to use it. Alright, now this one is pretty freaking ridiculous. This is going to make a saddle. So this is going to require 2 leads, 5 leather. I'll show you how that one works. And then this one makes a name tag, and then I'll show you how that one works as well. So let's hurry up and do those ones real quick. Survival mode, we are level 2, we need more levels. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I did 10 because I'm going to need to do 2 of those guys right over there. Okay, so let's go back over to our little custom crafting station. Alright, here we are. Okay, now I said that we were going to need some leather. So let's get some leather. There we go. And then we're going to need a couple of these things. Alright, so now here is how I have it making a saddle. You're going to put the 2 leads up there, and you're going to make a little boat looking thing like that with the leather. And you're going to hit a button, and guess what? We have a saddle. Alright, now for the next one, which is the name tag, this guy right here, I have it set up so that way we will use 1 string, 4 sticks, and 2 leather. And the way that we're going to set this up is we're going to put the string over here, put the sticks over here, and we're going to put the leather right here. It even looks like the name tag. And then we hit this little guy over there, and then we get a name tag. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so now there is another method to do this. Now you notice how I had to exit the dropper, hit the button in order for it to do anything, right? Now there is a way to make it change to the item while you're still looking in the hopper. So for this one, this is the 64 cobblestone to experience bottles. So let's turn this guy on real quick. This is just a standard counter timer type thing with a comparator. This right here, this repeater going to the side will actually slow down this. So now it clicks a little faster, a little slower still, and even more slow. Okay. So this one right here is testing for the cobblestone, 64 cobblestone in the dropper. Now if you do not specify a slot, it will check for the cobblestone in any slot, which is kind of useful. Okay, so right now it's not detecting anything. It's saying, hey, shit isn't there. And that's because we don't have anything in there right now. Now this one right here is the reset. Wait, no, sorry. Wait, yes, okay. This one is the reset for that command block. So this will set the command block to what it was before with all that stuff in there. So that just kind of resets it. And then this one is actually what makes it work without having to replace the actual dropper. So with this we're going to be using the block data command. So we are going to be changing the block data for the box in this location right here, which is this dropper right here. So then what we're going to do is, because we're doing it like this, all we have to do is just change the data. That's it. You don't have to specify what kind of block it is, what direction it is. You just put the location and then the data. So we're going to change it immediately to have 3 experience bottles in 4B, which is the middle slot, and we're going to give us 3 experience bottles. So now when we click on this guy, when we put this in there anywhere, it will immediately give us our 3 bottles of enchanting, and it will reset itself, which is really, really useful. See, that's no longer lit. Alright, so yeah, that is how you can get this to work without having to actually leave the dropper. It just automatically changes it. Now, this does have some potential issues with it. Let's say that you've got a complex design or whatever. You need to put certain things in certain orders within this thing. But then you also have another design that's similar. So like let's say that we have a design that puts an experience bottle right there, and then I'm just using shit in my inventory right now. So we need something like that, right? Now, once you get all this in there, then it'll update that recipe. But now let's say that you have something that requires that, right? As soon as you get, like, even if that's in there, as soon as you get this, if this is for another recipe, just the name tag and the slime ball, then it will automatically update this thing right here. It will delete this, and then it will give you whatever these two get. And the reason for that is because currently I do not believe there is a way to test for an empty slot. So it kind of sucks, but with this, I mean, you can kind of see things change, which is kind of cool. But for mine, because I'm gonna be having some complex designs and stuff like this, you can see I've got a lot more room for more stuff. I'm gonna use the button method, which then just replaces the dropper completely. Yeah. So this one just replaces the dropper. But still, I mean, this is pretty cool. So, I mean, this doesn't work for just a dropper. I mean, it can work for a chest or a dispenser or pretty much anything that can hold items and has block data. And then you can use this little block data command to update the data. It's pretty cool. Now, if you look down here, I just saw this on YouTube from I can't talk. Anyways, this will actually tell you what's in here right now. So, items, hold on, go back. Okay. Let's see. So this will give us an experience bottle, 3 of them, in the middle slot. It gives us an ID of a dropper. It also has this thing right here, which is a lock. So now this, if you reset the block data and you put in the lock, and you can do true or false, it just has to be within these quotations right there, then it will actually lock or unlock whatever that item is, which is pretty cool. And then this is just the location data, so you can change that as well. So I mean, that's pretty cool, right? And I believe this right here is the direction that it's currently facing. But I mean, it's pretty cool, right? So there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do with this. So this is just what I've got so far. You can use this design if you would like. You don't necessarily have to. You can do it however you'd like. You can use this design if you would like to. And then also, I found out something else. Let's say that I know that we have a lot of things where monostable something. Basically, you put a signal onto something, and then it will send out one pulse and one pulse only, and then that's kind of like all it does, right? So there's a bunch of different ways to do that. Let's see. So you've got this way, which a lot of people use, and then we'll put this up there. So you put a torch there, you put a torch here, you take a little comparator guy, repeater, set to 3 or 4 ticks. 3 is a quick pulse, 4 is a slower but still quick pulse, and we can see that coming out over here. Take this, and then that shuts that off. Okay. So then, let's see, get a button. So when you apply a signal to this block, it will send out a really quick pulse. Set it to 4, it will send out a pulse that lasts just a little bit longer. So there's a lot of different uses for that. There's a way to do it with droppers and a hopper. This way it can also be more flat if you do it like this and then like that. And you need to put this guy over here, and then you put this over there. So nope, not there. Okay. So this is basically the same setup. If you want to make it only 2 blocks wide, then you go like that. I need redstone dust. There we go. You put it up like that. And that's a 2 wide. But I mean, it all depends on how you want to do it. But I found a way that you can do this with a comparator. So what this is going to do is, this is a comparator in subtract mode. Now normally with a timer, as soon as you put this over here and you put the redstone going back into it, then it'll just keep switching on and off, right? So with this, I put a comparator. Now this comparator here, it doesn't matter if it's in compare or subtract mode. I've tested it both ways, it works either way. You put a repeater here, so you've got your comparator in subtract mode, redstone dust over here, repeater, 2 dust, comparator going into the comparator. Now what this is going to do is, for the first pulse, it'll send out a full signal, it'll reach this guy over here, and then once it gets through here, it'll run a subtraction between this right here, which is set to 14, versus 15, which is over here, so it's only going to put out one signal. So what that's going to do is it's effectively going to cut this off, which will then end the pulse going through here, and then you get something like that. Pretty cool, right? So I was just messing around and I figured out how to do that. So if you guys want to use that, that's cool too. And yeah, so quick little rundown one more time. So you hit this button, changes a block to a redstone block. Okay, that's this guy, send a signal through. This guy changes the redstone block back to an obsidian block. Sends over here, run through a if statement. If the person's level is 5 or greater, then go ahead and do all this stuff and close off this repeater here. And then if it is not greater than 5, then you want to run this block, which says, hey, you gotta be level 5. When it goes through here, you want to immediately replace this block here, so that way it resets. And it goes through here, and then with these blocks, you're going to be testing for the pattern within the custom dropping box, however you would like to make that. Put a comparator over here. Then you want to replace the block, take a level, send a message, and then reset this command block. And that's pretty much all it is. And then you can do that as many times as you want, with as many patterns as you want, and it's just really, really cool. So that is my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be continuing to work on this, and hopefully I can get some pretty cool stuff in here. So, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys later.